Welcome back, humble traders. Today I'll be doing something different, which is about analyzing how to use Ichimoku Clouds. So, anyways, this was a request by JK To. He said that how do you actually read Ichimoku Clouds? So actually, this Ichimoku was invented by a Japanese trader. So that explains his name. So okay, without further ado, let's go into what exactly and how do you exactly use these clouds to your advantage. So definitely all indicators are always lagging. There's no one indicator that is ahead of time. But this particular indicator called the Ichimoku Clouds is actually quite effective. So you must first understand what are its components. You can see that there's this green line here. This is considered like a lagging span. And then we also have this blue line. This blue line is known as the conversion line. So this is the conversion line. And in short, I'll just CONV, and the red line. This red line is called the baseline. So there's these three components of the cloud, and and of course you can see that there's this cloud here, and there's also a cloud here. So that's not too important, but it is important to note that this conversion line and baselines, on the way up, on the way down they act as supports, and of course on the way up they also act as resistance. So generally speaking, how do you use this cloud to your advantage? When the stock is on an uptrend, then the clouds, the prices and the candles would likely to be above the clouds. So you can see that for this particular stock on Tesla, we are above the clouds since last year. However, if it's below the clouds, then that's considered downtrend. So on an uptrend, you try to ride the uptrend. But when there's a change of trend, then you better not be holding to those positions because it will likely to be very bearish upcoming days and weeks. So to move in greater detail into this, how does this baseline and conversion line works? So the baseline is actually the 9-day moving average, if I'm not wrong, and the baseline will be a 26-day moving average. So long as this baseline and the conversion line, we can just name it in short, the blue line and the red line. So when there's a crossover, when the blue line finally cuts above the red line, that is considered a good opportunity to buy. And you only will sell when the blue line cuts back below the red line. So this is a exit sign, and then this is a entry sign. Of course, on the way down, the cloud would act as a support. So you can see that Tesla was being supported by the cloud. You can see that this green candle here is pretty strong. And of course, on the way up, this clouds will act as a resistance. So you can see that Tesla hit this resistance and then come down thereafter. So what market makers would tend to do is that they will they will try to break down the charts. So if you are following these clouds too closely, right, you should always position just below the clouds, because the market makers will tend to flush retail investors who put their stops just below the clouds, knowing that the trend has reversed from bullish to bearish. And likewise, there'll be traders who will start shorting just below the clouds. So they want to squeeze the people who shorted just below the clouds. Likewise, when there's a breakout above the clouds, retail investors or breakout traders will come in and take long in anticipation that it will go up higher. So similarly, what market makers will do, then they will squeeze the longs and push back down. And again, we can see that it went below the clouds, but we went up thereafter. So long as this blue line cut back above this red line, then it's a buy opportunity. So you can see that Tesla actually had a buy opportunity somewhere in July 2021. Prices was about, say, around 600 levels. And then there was no exit sign until about 1001 levels. So that's quite a good $500 profit. And of course, the daily charts will be quite confusing. You can see that there's always this like in-out thing that, for instance, you see that the blue line cut below the red line, and then the red line cut back above, and then the blue line cut back down. So it's very confusing. So generally, if it's too confusing, you can always just use the weekly charts. So the weekly chart is a more clearer idea where you can enter, when you can exit, more for long-term investors. So long-term investors, you can see that the blue line cut above the red line for Tesla. This was quite a while ago in April 2020, and April, May 2020, around these periods, you can see that Tesla was only about $100 to $200. So if you're long-term investors, once you see this, you enter, and then this green line will follow through. So long as this green line don't break down and start the U-turn, you just continue your positions. So you can see that the only time where Tesla actually broke down was actually during this period here. And this was about $600. So you actually made about almost about $400 to $500 in profit. So that is quite good and handsome profits. And you will want to enter back the trade or your position when there's this blue line cut back above the red line after it has crossed down here. So likewise, you can see that if you come back at about 650 and then you finally sell here at about maybe, definitely not at the peak because you cannot time at this peak. And these indicators will take time to turn. So you may potentially sell at about 900 to 1K levels, which is still a decent amount of profits. And yeah, so this is quite a good indicator because it tells you when to enter, when to exit. Definitely it's not perfect, but it will definitely serve as a good guidance. And furthermore, you can see that after you had a good uptrend, you can see that this cloud is being supported, and thereafter it went up further. So there's a mathematics calculation that why are some parts of the cloud thicker and why some part of the clouds are thinner. So the derivation is too difficult. So you can just generate a general rule of thumb is the cloud is thicker, then there'll be more support. Likewise, if the cloud is thinner, then there'll be less support. And the reverse holds true in the event that we are on a downtrend and we try to pierce the cloud that is too thick, then you'll have a lot more struggle as compared to piercing a cloud that is thinner. Yep. So that being said, if you look closely on the way down, this blue and the red line will act as support as well. You can see if you look closely here, this blue line was supported. This candle managed to hit this line and then have a short-term rebound. Likewise, these red lines will also act as a support. You can see that buyers are always trying to push the prices and to close just above this red line. And generally speaking, if an uptrend, we will tend to stick as close to the blue line as close as possible. But in the event that we start going too far away from the blue line, then there is potentially a opportunity to start taking your profits simply because the big players are on the verge of getting out. So they want to push the prices back very high so that the retail investors will be attracted to buy this stock and FOMO in. That's the opportunity to actually sell into strength. So you can see on two occasions when Tesla went too far away from the cloud, it actually had a very strong correction. Likewise here, similar situation where we drifted too far away from the blue line, which is also known as the conversion line. Tesla also had a very big correction, which is very similar to this correction. So I will say that I'll be watching this cloud support here and Tesla at about maybe $600 to $700 levels. If we manage to perhaps come to these levels and then we see a lot of bear traps appearing and bullish candles appearing, then potentially it may be a buy for Tesla. So I hope that JK, you find this video useful on the Ichimoku Clouds. Definitely it's a lagging indicator, but compared to other indicators like the RSI or moving averages, this indicator it will definitely help short-term traders because on the minute chart and the hourly chart or even the daily chart, it will be useful. For long-term investors, I will recommend using the weekly chart. So yeah, thanks a lot for this request, and till we meet again, definitely appreciate the manipulation.